Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am here with a Q&A video. Finally, I've been planning on doing this video for quite a while now, and since I don't like to have my YouTube comments on, I asked my patrons and YouTube members to leave me questions so that I would have content for this video. And, I said, like, even if it's something that you already know the answer to, just ask whatever. So I was hoping that I'd get questions that the general public might be interested in. And I did. I got a lot of questions. I'm not going to do all of them tonight because it would be a very long video. So I'm going to cross off the ones that I do tonight, and then I'll have questions left over for another time. How's that sound? Let's just get started. Again, those of you who follow me, you know the answer to a lot of these. Some of them are very basic. Some are also from emails or Facebook messages or things that I was asked repeatedly when comments were on that I feel is a good time to answer that. Because I know a lot of people are still probably wanting to ask, but they can't figure out how to ask me things. I love a quiet world. Okay, I'm going to start with this one because I updated it. I get asked, are you married? Are you divorced? What happened to your husband? You don't talk about him anymore. And my husband died November of 2016. We were living separate at the time. He is from Houston. I went to Houston and was there for 3 years with him. Then we moved back so I could take care of my father who was sick. And the deal was we were going to stay here, help my parents. I was able to take care of my father for 2 years before he died. And then Andy and I, we had an apartment. And then when my father died, we moved into the house. And he was here for 10 years in this house with me and drinking a lot. And it was just not... It wasn't happy. It wasn't happy for me to watch him killing himself like that. I ended up asking him, you think you could get transferred and go take care of your mom? He was falling down the stairs. I was always a nervous wreck. It wasn't a marriage. It was, I felt like I was just taking care of a drunk. He would still work. He was still working all the time, but it wasn't going to get any better. And I knew he was going to drink himself to death, which he did. But, so what we did is he ended up, his mother did need help too. It seems like she was coming down with, dementia or something like that. So he got transferred back to Houston and we stayed married. We stayed, doing all our finances together. We talked all the time. We texted, so it's just that we weren't in the same house, and it was much better. We got along so much better because I didn't have to, to watch him and be scared to death every time he would go up the stairs. And so, and then after, I think it was like maybe 5 years that he was there, he got really sick and he quit work, and I knew it was over because that man worked all the time, and he ended up dying from this. And I updated because I know I have a post. I had announced it on my blog, and I've never read that since. And it's still a popular blog post. People search Darlene Michaud husband. It's a popular search term on my blog, meaning they're searching Google for Darlene Michaud husband, or maybe even YouTube for Darlene Michaud husband, and Google reports that back to me. So I know people are very curious. So I went and read that blog post, and I updated it today with a little bit more info because it was just kind of left open-ended. I didn't know what I was going to do, but you can go and read it. And in there's links to a video as to how we met. I'm sure that I'd be embarrassed if I watched that. I recorded that, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. I don't like to look at my old videos. And then there's another link to something else. So you can go be nosy if you want and go see those things that I never really expected people to watch. So that's the deal. My husband died 2.5 years ago, and that's the end of that story. totally changing the subject. What kind of store is Rogers? Meat market or grocery store? It's Rogers Super Dollar, and I always tell people it is actually spelled that way, Supadolla, because we Mainers don't like to pronounce R's when there's actually an R, yet like we'll take a name like Linda and say Linder, so we'll put an R where there's not supposed to be one. My thing is that I wish Roger would have put it Rogers with an A. That would have been cool, but he didn't. He left his name. So Rogers is it was a family-owned business way back, and the man who owns it now started working there when he was a teenager in high school, and then he went in the service, and then when he got out, he needed a job, and the guy said to him, Roger said to him, whenever you come back, if you want a job, there's still a job here for you. And then I think it was like maybe, I don't know, something like 20 years he continued working there, and then Roger finally wanted to sell. And so this new owner, I mean, the one who had been working there forever, bought it. I don't even know his name. It's terrible. I'm there all the time. I should know that. And it's a butcher shop, but I don't know what they're doing there for butchering meat, if it's like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you could even see the doors like opened and cows hanging there. I mean, not like looking like a cow, but like skinned and stuff. The conditions must have been so terrible in those days. I mean, flies could be all over that, but that's the way they did it. People could bring their deer there. Like a couple of times my father actually had the deer skinned and the meat cut. But usually he did that himself. We would have that hanging in our garage. But yeah, we did have that done there. So it was that kind of a butcher shop. Now, I do know that they grind their meat and stuff, but a lot of stores grind meat. So I don't know if they're still cutting pieces of cows up or if that comes to them. I almost think it comes to them, but it is still the best meat. He doesn't get the meat from like places that like Shaw's or Hannaford or general grocery stores get it from. It's like more local or whatever. He explained it all to me, but I've got to tell you, their meat is fantastic. So one of these days, maybe I can ask him again and get more details. It's those kind of things I wish I could do, to say, would you sit down with me and let me interview you for a video? I would love to do stuff like that, but yet I would hate to do stuff like that. And it is a grocery store. You can buy just about anything in there, but it's very small compared to grocery stores of nowadays. I don't do much shopping there other than my meat. I do pick up milk there, sometimes bread, but the prices are generally higher. Like, you know, you don't go there to buy a can of veggies because it's cheaper elsewhere. You know, they don't have as much business, so their prices are a little higher to make up for that. But the people are really, really nice, and I just really like that store. Will you do any more hair videos? I get asked that a lot. And I don't know. I stopped doing them because I did enough of them. I mean, how many times can I stand at a mirror and dye my hair for you guys or cut my own hair? And now that Skylar cuts my hair, you know, we've done videos of her cutting my hair, but I've got to tell you, it is a lot of work to set up for that, to prepare for that, to edit that. And it's hard recording with a kid because, you know, I just never know what she's going to come out with. And it's hard to do the editing because sometimes I have to cut something out and it's like, you know, like if we talk over each other or whatever, it's like, oh, it's so hard. Now, where did we leave off before she said that or before I said something stupid or whatever? When there's two people, it's hard to keep the continuity going. If you have to cut a chunk out, it's just, so it's stressful for me because the whole time I have to be aware that we're recording and it needs to make sense in the end. But she's going to be here this summer. If the mood strikes us that I want my hair trimmed and she feels like doing it and I'm up to the recording and the editing, you know, I'm not going to say never, especially with her, but just me alone cutting my hair, I think I've done that enough. I mean, I got to the point where I was being silly and like doing still shots of me like with a plunger on my head. I mean, anything to try to be entertaining because it was getting to be so boring to do that repeatedly. I was like, no, this is enough. So I stopped. But I do have an entire playlist of hair videos, either me dyeing it or Skylar dyeing it. She's been dyeing my hair since she's 6 and she's 10 now, so I have a lot of videos of her dyeing it, like slapping my head and throwing the bottle in the air. So hair dyeing and hair cutting, either me cutting or Skylar cutting. There's a very popular one where she cut my bangs like I was holding and she like cut it really short. That video is still quite popular. So there is a playlist down below. You can go check that out. And also the link to my blog post about my husband, that will also be in the description box. Why don't you use a rotary cutter? The obsession with the rotary cutter. It's just, I don't know. I like scissors. Rotary cutters dull quickly. They're expensive. The blades are expensive. Sometimes I like to just sit and cut fabric. With the amount of fabric that I cut for like my Fabric Frenzies and stuff and these scrappy pre-cuts, it would take me forever. I know it might seem quicker to like be there with the ruler and cut and cut and cut. But I can do it in such a more relaxed way by just like folding fabric over, cutting on the fold, cutting stacked, using the edge of my mat as the guide, and using my good old scissors. And I have a scissor sharpener, but I gotta tell you, the silver ones that you'll see me use, those scissors are very, very old. And I don't know, I mean, I never sharpen them and they just work good. I just love those scissors. So I'm a scissor girl. I do use a rotary cutter. In fact, I do want to break down and get even a different one, a different handle. Mine, I have to push a button to push the blade down, and that's a little bit tiresome doing that. And as far as I know, you know, they have some that's just the wheel, and I think I would like that better. So I do want to invest in another rotary cutter, but you will still see me using scissors often. Should I touch on a few of the questions that you guys probably know the answers to? I guess I can go through them really quick. For those of you who are new to the channel and don't know these things, where are you from? I'm from Sanford, Maine, born and raised, and that's where I continue to live. I did move to Texas for 3 years, but we came back. So, Sanford, Maine. It's the very southern tip. If you look at the state of Maine on the map, we're at the very top right corner state. There's a point down there at the bottom of the state. That's where I am. What kind of camera do you use? People ask me that repeatedly, even though it's in the description box. I really want to add more stuff in my description box that I get asked or that people want to know, and make it very informative, and like say in every video, go see the description box, because people just don't think to do that. So I have 2 cameras. Where are they? And they match. That it is a Canon Vixia. I have the 500, the HFR 500, and the HFR 600, and I really, really like these cameras. I happened to buy this one time after Christmas. It was an after Christmas sale, and I saved $100. I can't remember if it was a $300 camera and I paid $200, or if it was a $400 camera and I paid $300. But I know I saved $100. And then the price went up after, when they came out with the 600, and I wanted another camera. So I picked up another one. I can't remember what it was, and I didn't like it. And it was an expensive camera too. The sound quality was not as good as this. Not at all. I think the quality of this is very, very good. So I returned that one and I got the 600. And I've been very happy with both of them, even though I've dropped them. And this time, if you watched the video that I did with Skylar, what was it? She moved something on a table or whatever, and I saw my camera falling to the ground, and I was like so so scared. It's like, no, I don't want to have to replace these. I'm so afraid I won't get something I like as much. I really like these cameras. And there is a link down below in the description box to show you this on Amazon, but I don't know if that link is outdated now. I think they have gone to 700 now. I don't know, but I don't know where that link will take you. I'll have to go check it out. I do really, like I said, want to update my links in the description box that no one ever goes to see. I keep putting these on and off. Can you do a video with your mother? Also, was it you or your mom who decided that she should never appear in your videos? I know I have explained this a few times. I grew up with a mother who did not want a camera on her ever. Not for a snapshot back in the day when you had a little Kodak with a square cube that rotated. You could get 4 flashes out of 1 cube, and it just was always a struggle, you know, to take pictures, and it was a big deal. Oh no, I have to this and I have to do, and I just didn't like it. It made me very uncomfortable, and you know, people would ask, "Oh, can we get together?" And no, and she had to make a big deal out of it, and so I learned not to take pictures of her. And then when I came into recording, it just didn't interest me in asking her, because I have no interest in hearing all the reasons why she doesn't want to be on camera. So that's why. Will I say never? I mean, I don't like to say never, but it's pretty hard for me to record with her when I really have no interest in doing that. But I sometimes say, like, if Skylar would say it, like if Skylar would say, let's do a video with Grandmame, I wouldn't say to her, no, we can't do that. I would say, go ask her, you know, and see what she says. But it's just, it would make me uncomfortable. I would know she was uncomfortable. It would be hilarious if we could do some, because my mother is very funny. She is. I don't know if it's on purpose, like, you know, that she knows she's funny, or it's just the things that she just naturally says. But she's funny, and it would be interesting. But again, it's not her thing. She doesn't even like to watch my video. She doesn't ask me about my videos. It's like I have this whole secret life that my family doesn't care about at all. Nobody, I mean, other than my son and Skylar, obviously, but like I have nephews, my sister, nobody ever asks me, oh, how's your job going? You know, how does that working out for you? No interest at all in what I do. It's always been that way. If you outlive your mother, will you move to Memphis to be near Derek and Skylar? I'm almost ready to do that now. No, here's the honest truth. I like being in Sanford. I hate the fact that I can't handle this house. It needs a lot of work, and I have no interest in soaking money into upkeep of this house. And it's way too big of a house for just me, but this feels like home to me. I don't like Memphis. If Derek lived in Nashville, I liked Nashville better. It reminds me of Maine. I just don't know. I just can't see myself really living in Memphis. My dream would be that I could maintain this house and spend my summers here, and then my winters in Memphis, that I could afford, you know, an apartment there and this house here. But then I think, do I really think I'd want to come back here in the summer? I see no one. I have no friends. I don't know. And I think it would probably be sad. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. One of these days I'll have to figure it out, but I have no clue right now what I want to do. Oh boy. I think we'll end on this one. What vegetables do you eat? You only ever talk about the meat. It's because I don't eat any vegetables. Nobody eats no vegetables. You have to eat some vegetables. There's plenty of zero-carb vegetables. Zero carb in the carnivore world means zero plant. Is just meat and meat products like dairy, if people can tolerate it. eggs. It has to have been an animal or come from an animal. And I get it all the time. Of course, you have to eat vegetables, Darlene. You eat something. Don't you at least have avocado? That's healthy. No, I eat meat. There's times that I have gone like to dairy, sometimes a little too much. I'm currently off dairy for a couple of months now. I just wanted to stop it because I was starting to feel like shit. Also, I was eating the imitation crab meat that has sugar in it. That sugar is addictive stuff, I'm telling you. So I think it was back at the end of February, I went back to square one. I went, I think, 3 weeks of just beef and water. That's it. And, you know, now I do have chicken, I have pork chops, some bacon, but I eat a lot of beef, and it is the best feeling for me to live off beef. And I do not eat vegetables. 2.5 years, I have never once had a meal, you know, like normal meals. Never once, even if I go out. And I did go out to eat once so far I'm not one to go out to eat, but I did when I was in Memphis this last trip, and I had prime rib, and Derek had all my sides. But never once have I made myself a meal. Is that for my mother? I think it is. Yes, double ring is for her. It's distinctive ringing. It's still one line, but it lets us know who is the one who is supposed to answer. So never once have I had a non-meat meal, except there's a few times, a handful of times, one of those times was last night, where if I'm really hungry late, like I have gone to bed and I'm like, I can't sleep, I feel hungry. I don't want to get up and cook steak and have to clean that shit. So I will cook 6 eggs. I'll scramble 6 eggs and make that and eat that. And it just doesn't feel good like meat. I wish I could always have meat cooked, and, so that I could gnaw on that instead, but I don't always. But that's still ZC. It's just that meat is supposed to be what you're filling up on. And when I say you, I'm talking about me. It's what I choose to do. And, but if not, eggs are fine. But, anything else besides meat is like a side dish. Even if you're eating dairy, it's okay to have some cottage cheese or some cheese, but not like a whole container of cottage cheese and say that was a meal. No, meat is the focus. You can have some other stuff on the side if you tolerate it well. I've discovered that dairy is the devil for me. Beef, water, that's the ticket. Even when I start to include things like chicken or pork, it's not as good. I can sometimes have a little bit of indigestion from pork. So I do not eat vegetables. I know it's hard for people to believe, and it's not because I don't like vegetables. I love vegetables. Have I ever had one? Yes, I've had a green bean that fell out of the can. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But I don't have a portion of vegetables. I've never done that. I have never put vegetables on my plate. I haven't. I just haven't. You got to just believe me. All right, I'm going to end now because my mother wants to watch America's Got Talent, and I told her I would go watch that with her. So I will save a whole bunch. I have a whole bunch more questions, and we will do it again another time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.